I decided to make a video of the new rig I'm creating. It's all for creators, and you know, I had so many questions in my head, and I kept trying to find them as I was trying to figure out what is best for me and my workflow. And then I thought to myself, why not make a video of all the questions I couldn't find very easy? And then, of course, I thought, why don't I just put together this computer and show you how it's kind of done, and then what mistakes to avoid, what to really look for, and what to really jump on if you get the opportunity now. So let's do it. Welcome back to another video. My name is Nikos, and today we're looking at building this awesome computer. It is the rig of rigs for me, because I haven't created a rig in like 15 years. It's been a while. I've been on my laptops. I'm always busy. I'm running around. I'm always mobile, but you know, COVID's happened, and you know, we're at home. So why not create a rig and get stuff done? Now, backstory: my laptop fried, and I've been without a really high-powered gaming laptop that I can edit on for about 4 months now, and it's killing me. It's been like 4 or 5 months, yeah. And I've been working on my Dell XPS. It's a great computer. It does the job, but it's so slow sometimes. So I thought, hey, why not build a rig that I know I can invest money into, and then from there I can look at it in perspective and say, when do I want to sell it, and then get some return on that investment from selling it, and of course from using it. At the same time, we have been growing, so who knows who's going to be using it and if it's ever going to be sold. And on top of that, I got a nephew that is getting older, and well, I got a couple of nephews that are getting older, and a niece. And I know they're going to probably want something like this when I decide to upgrade. So, I mean, it's a lot of things that we all have to look at in terms of, future-wise. And there's no such thing as future-proofing, which is what we're coming to. Now, all the parts here, from the AI cooler to the power supply to the video card to the motherboard, they're all been picked for specific reasons, and I will be going through an individual video for each one, so you're aware of what is occurring and what you should be purchasing. Now, I'm going with 128 gigabytes of RAM. You don't need that. 64 will do fine. But, I was looking at it and I'm going, I've been stuck at 70 gigabytes sometimes where it's showing that I should need 70 to 80 gigabytes. And I'm like, why not just do it? Because like on average though, I'm around 40. So, I mean, I wanted more than 30, but 32, but then I was like, if I'm going to go for 64, why not go for some more? And I mean, with the deals that were out there, it was like almost like $300 more. So I was like, you know what? Why not? New stuff's coming out all the time, and we're probably going to need something. Chip-wise, I mean, AMD, that's like the go-to. But the problem is with most of this stuff, especially video cards and this little guy, you're talking about no stock, and I don't know when the stock's going to return good, especially for the video cards. These are starting to come out. I went with the 5900X. There is a 5950X, and then there's a 5600. I wouldn't go for the 5800, but like the 5600X is like all you need for gaming. So if you're looking at a gaming build, you don't need more than 32 gigs of RAM. I would go for 32 gigs though. Don't listen to people that say 16 gigs is enough. And for video editing, go for 64. Don't go for 32 and then go, I'm going to upgrade later. Just bite the bullet, get it done right away. You'll thank me later. AMD chips, though, I mean, you can go with the older versions. The idea here is that when you jump to this, it will help be a little bit faster. But when it comes to the whole idea of video editing and most of the softwares, it is really the video card we have to look at. However, when we're looking at something like this, well, this is, really important, especially when it's something that you're going to be using and multitasking. And this is where people are like, oh, well, when I'm rendering, and, I have tests on that too. But the idea here becomes, if you're rendering and, I have a render going for all these videos that we're creating, and then I open up Photoshop, I open up, different Adobe suites, programs from the Adobe suite. Now you're multitasking. And I mean, you need to go for something good. I know you're going to run this, and I get pissed off when I open up my task manager and it's running at 10%. For Intel's the same way. So I don't know why people are talking about Intel's better sometimes. It blows my mind. We went with the 360 Ti. I would have liked to go for the 3080. However, 360 Ti it is. This is all that was in there that was available. So I got it, and it came quicker than the 3080 and the 3090s. That being said, I mean, we're in January, end of January, early February, come March. Most of these will be coming out in full supply. However, what you're going to find is a situation where, you know, you're going to be asking yourself, do I wait because fall's around the corner? Something to think about, you know. And then the motherboard, I'm not really as happy as I was after, you know, after I had purchased this, but some time has gone by, so I can't return it. However, I went with this, and you know, I saved some money. And that being said, it's going to do the job 100%. It does everything that I want it to do. However, there's certain stuff that now that I've been reading the manual, that I'm like, oh, maybe it's not going to do it, and I doubt it will do it. I'm going to be kind of upset, but at the same time, you know, it is what it is. We made the mistake. And at the same time, we're going to be testing out this Rocket 4 Plus by Sabrent. This thing is rated for massive speeds. So when we look at the speeds and we're going for what we're going to do, I'm only going with a terabyte right now to install. I'm going to be taking out from my laptop that burnt. There's a terabyte in there as well, and then a 500 megabyte. So I'm probably going to be using those until I get a 4 terabyte of these. It wasn't in stock when I went to purchase it. I was too slow. And I'll be throwing those in later. Right now, we're going to load it up, test just with this. And I mean, just a side note, people are always like, oh, you need like 5 drives, you know, and you need all this and that for your cache and this and that. I mean, I'm probably going to do that with 1 drive with the cache, but you don't have to. Let's be realistically. Truth here. These drives are so fast, you don't really need to do that. You need to do that if you're using an older computer and it's slow, okay? And you're not using some new NVMe drives. Like even if you're using the 3.0 and you're using like, I'm using my, like to put it in perspective, on my XPS, I'm using 1 drive and it works fast. And it works faster than people who have 3, 4, 5 drives because they're like, we gotta move our cache here and there. Just a side note. So before, you know, before I get going on a rant, let's get building. As we kick off this build, I want to just mention that I have a couple angles going, and I will be doing B-roll along the way. So this will be a hack job on stopping and going and very hard cuts. I might miss some stuff that I wanted to talk about, and as that, what I will be doing is making sure that I do a review on each part. So after you watch this video, I will do a video as a whole on what the results were, and then on each individual piece. So if you have questions, please leave a comment below. Now, we're starting off with the motherboard. I do have my power supply back here, and I'm just gonna use it to de-static myself. And what we're gonna be doing is, first off, make sure you lift off this pin, and you're gonna take your Ryzen, and you're gonna look for the triangle, and you're just gonna pop it in. Now, in most cases, the boards, you will see the writing will be pointed towards you or the VRM. So I then just knock this down, and we are off to the races. First things first, I'm going to remove these brackets, and these brackets basically are for the stock coolers, and I won't be putting the cooler on right away. What I want to do is make sure that I get the brackets on in here before I move it over, because the plate for my water cooler, the fixture that's going to go on here needs the plate on the back. So, and then if you move it, it just becomes a nuisance. So we're going to move these off first off, and we need to remember that every cooler will be a little bit different. Now, in the case of mine, there was an issue when I started working on this build just to test out a few things. I noticed that the plate on the back becomes very loose. Now, apparently when I do put the cooler on, it will tighten. So I'm hoping that's the case, or else I will have to remove the actual chip, or I'll have to remove the chip and then clean it up. So I hope that's not the case. Now, when you're going with a cooler like the Arctic cooler, we need to remember that these plates have to go in a certain way. So what you find here, this does have a pin that sticks out, and this is what's going to be pulling this up apparently. But make sure you read the the notes on this, because the manual will tell you how to correctly set these up so you don't have to worry about them after. Now, in typical fashion, you need to just make sure that you set everything in a good process so nothing occurs, and make sure that you are not having any issues along the way. So I know I'm going to be setting the larger part on the bottom. So here we go. Let's put these pins in. So now the plates will be going on here. The idea of the cooler will be that you are able to control the thermals much better. And if this aspect doesn't stick on properly and it doesn't fuse together, when you put on everything, you will be in a situation where you're going to be upset at yourself. So make sure you go through that route of preparing yourself and making sure you're asking the right questions beforehand so that you don't have any issues. Let's throw that in there. Never fully tighten anything. Always be remembered, because we might have to undo something. Who knows, maybe doing this video I put these on the wrong way. You know what I mean? We never know until we know. Issue with this, as we will see when I lift this, that will move, and we are in an issue when it does move. This is the Arctic Liquid Freezer 2, and there are 3 different versions. That being said, I do have all the pieces ready to go, so we can just, when we put the chip on, we'll be able to just put this unit installed right on the chip. We're good to go. And then we can just add everything automatically. But first, so I'm not fumbling around after with this hooked up, I'm gonna actually flip the fans on this unit, because it does come pre-configured for a push, so you can set it up at the top of your case. Now, our case will be putting it front mount, so we're gonna be moving the fans so we can configure it to pull air in, or as some people have been stating online, push it in. But it's really, push through the radiator, but I'm still looking at it as pull. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Now the idea here would be, when you're working with these fans, there are arrows, and the arrows do show you what direction you need to put them in. There is a front end, the way the fan will bring in air. So what we do want to do is make sure that the arrows all match up. You don't want to screw that up, because then you'll have to take it out again and redo everything, and it's just a nuisance. That being said, the idea here would be that you want to test run it with the configuration of a push the way it is, and see how that works, even if it was front mounted. But we can see here, like the way this is set up, I can see like which one is the front and which one is the back. However, the arrows do exist such that you can be able to see where they are. And for some reason, I saw it before, and now I am a superstar not being able to see it because we are recording. So this is like this. Oh, that's nice. Oh, they wrap it around this way. That's why it was coming loose. So this actually wraps in there, and it goes in that manner. Nice. So then you store it this way. Cool. All right. Cool. So you can undo them that way, and then you can set them up. So this is, they would be right in there. I don't think you can see it, but you get the point. So what we're gonna do now is unscrew all of them. And this is pushing. So what we want to do is flip them over, nicely. Now, again, when you're working on anything with the computers, you want to remember that as you're working away, your screws are the most important thing to deal with, where you waste time. Our goal here is to knock this out of the park as soon as possible, and this is why we're preparing everything nicely. We have all the screws set up in a nice manner. So now we do know from this that this is pushing through, and we can actually see the arrows on here. So the question right in the corner. So now the question goes, if I'm pushing, now I want to push the arrow the other way, I'm just going to flip these over, which is going to suck because the cable is here. And now I have to be careful how the cable goes because I need to bring it on top. And that being said, I need to make sure that it does fit, which I don't think it will. All right, let's do this. And what we're going to do here, that's coming in through here. So now I somehow need to bring this through on the other side. Huh. And bring this way while doing this maneuver so that that will be in this manner. And then this will stick on in this manner. Perfect. So then I can now see that this sucks. So they made it for that specific way to look good. And now this is pulled apart. So it's not going to look good either way I want to do it. And that's where they put arrows in it. So now the question becomes, how will this be done in a way where we're able to make it look good? So you gotta be very careful on how you're gonna do this so that it actually fits the narrative of what we want to do. Right. So, yeah. So this is now. Well, this is post going the other way. All right. There we go. So now this is gonna come up top like this. And this has to somehow stretch the imagination forward. There we go. And now we just gotta loop them in somehow to make them good, and we are good to go. All right, let's pull this out a little bit. I'm gonna bring this in. There we go. So now I'm off to the races, making sure that I keep the just like that, we are good to go as we set this up. So Just want to make sure these will fit nicely in here. And we'll probably have to use some kind of tape to get them to stick and look good when we put it into the machine, into the system. But I mean, it is functional now. I just wish we could, I wish this would look better there. So let's put the screws in and we will be off to the races. Now, one thing we got to remember when you're planning this, you know, it might be that like this doesn't end up how you go with it. And it might be that you decide, hey, I want to change it up a bit based on the case that you have. So the idea here is that, look, this is how easy it was. It's not even a 5-minute job. And you're able to now look at the scenario and say, if I want to test out different scenarios with my case, look how easy this is. I can't stress this enough because I always see people trying to follow what others are doing online. And I get disappointed when I see people stressed out because they didn't do their own tests. And then they realize, oh, well, I could have done something better. Now, the reason I went with a 3, again, is because I decided I wanted to be able to overclock down the road. And I want to be able to not worry about how, you know, how loud this is going to get. Because it won't. It'll have 3 fans. So I'm like, okay, it'll be, you know, it'll keep the thermals down a lot easier with 3 fans than it will with a 2-fan radiator. So a 360 versus a 280. Don't go for a 240. 240 will not be enough and you will come to regret it. Again, now we're set up. So this is going to go into the radiator in this manner and we will be good to go. So I'm going to set this up after I leave this in the cardboard, just so I don't scratch the plate. I don't want to be scratching the plate. And we're going to push this up front, and I'm going to make sure I'm doing this right. Now, I've already flipped the fans on this. And all I'm going to do here, just so I can not have the pieces lying around, I'm literally just going to take care of this now. And the idea here would be to not worry about it after when we're installing it. And we're going to take these long bolts and they're going to go the wrong way here if I put it in that way. So we're going to go this way and they're going externally because that's what's cool about this. So they're going outwards. So I'm going to pass this through the middle here. So, oh. It looks like it's tightening. There we go. So this has now officially tightened. And I'm going to put the second one on. I'm going to pass this cable on top. So you're going to want to pass this cable on top. Is that coming out nice? Nice. All right. So here we go. And that should be going in nicely. Doesn't feel like it. Okay, so this is now ready. When we're putting it in the case, what we're going to do is then have this ready. Now, I've already pushed the configuration here so that air is pushing in from here on the front of the case and is coming through. So this will be plugged onto the motherboard and we are good to go. Easy peasy. That's it. Now, the worrisome aspect of this case is that this won't be long enough. And the reality is that if this is like this, it should fit, but I'm worried about the card. So when you're looking at, let me just set this down, the actual setup of this, it will be in this manner. And I mean, everybody was talking huge about this, and it's just worrisome now for me because I have to come up this way and bring it down. This will be at the front of the case, so we're literally sitting like this. And if we're sitting like this now, we have a little bit of an issue because we have the video card in the way. And the video card is pretty big. Now to put this into perspective, I'll set that down. This is the video card, and the video card will be settled here. And now we have to ask ourselves, well, it's gonna come past the box. So if I do the test run on this of how I'm gonna be seeing this, this is literally gonna be like this. So it will come out front, but I just don't know how much of a block that will be. I might have to try and put it on the lower one so I can make it look good, but I think it will work. I've seen people do it. So let's hope for the best. So we're gonna set this back over here. So this is officially done. We have the screws and everything ready for that. RAM-wise, we're going to the Trident Z Neo. This is the 3600. I went with the 1822-2242. It was on sale, so I was like, you know what? I can probably get this to the numbers I want because I'm going to overclock it. I do want to have 3733 in there. I think I can drop this down to about 16 anyways. You do want to go with about 16. So when you're looking at the speed of these, you want to make sure that your speed is literally around 3600. If you go slower, it's just not going to be as helpful, especially if you're doing games. Now with video editing, it's not going to matter that much to me. So even if I don't, I did save like $200 and some dollars. I did purchase some other ones that were 16, 16, 18, 18, or no, 16, 19, 19. And basically what ended up happening was that I had to send them back because I ran out of time and the package came open. So I was just kind of like, I got to test them. Now I'm not going to be getting warranty on this, but look at this. Look how nice this is. Like, look at that. So these do have lights. The other ones I didn't. I was going to go for more speed. And yes, I got to clean this after and make sure the fingerprints are off. But again, I don't care about flashiness. So, at that being said, when you're putting these in, you want to make sure that you following the manual. For some reason, this one wants A2 and A1. Sorry, B2 and B1 instead of A2 and A1. I haven't built a computer in 15 years, so I guess things have changed, or it's just the specs that we're going with. You make sure the groove is correct, so your groove needs to be spot on here. So let's make sure it aligns, and you plop it in by making sure you click those open, and once you hear it click, you should be good, and then you're able to do that. Now that's in secure. Go for the second one. Again, it's going to be every other one. I did get 128 gigabytes, if I haven't already said that. And basically, I'm going to test this RAM. So I don't want to be sitting there for hours upon hours overnight, you know. So I'm going to test the RAM first, just to make sure that it is going to not have any issues. And I'm going to do it 2 at a time instead of bothering to, you know, do 2. So the way you would test RAM, you would test all of it. You would see where it goes. If it ends up going that you have an issue, you remove 2 of the sticks, and then, you know, so on and so forth until you figure out which stick has the issue. Now, let me flip this around. Now, storage-wise, I went with the Rocket 4 Plus. This is the newest one that they've come out with. I regret not buying the 4 terabyte of the regular one. This will be up there with the Samsung, and it gets 7,000 read and 5,000 write. And the coolest thing about this is when it does come out, if it comes out, there we go, it's in a case. Look at this. Just unbelievable. And then you open it up, and lo and behold, there's the drive. So we're looking at this and we're saying to ourselves, packaging is everything. And there's your drive. So now what I'm going to be doing is installing this into one of the 2 slots. Now I do have the screws here, and what I'm going to do, because I don't know what I'm doing yet, and I do want to set up this heatsink eventually to see how good it is. let's put in perspective. We have two PCIe's, and I don't know which one I'm going to put the video card in. This one is the bracket that I should be putting in. It's, you know, it's got the braces on it so it can carry heavier weight. And then there's this one here. Now, the hard drive can come here. And if the hard drive comes into the one slot or the other slot over here, now we can figure out how we're going to do this. So I could use this heatsink right away. It does have some thermal padding underneath, so I don't really want to use it necessarily. And at the same time, it won't matter because I'm going to boot it up, start it up, run it. This thing isn't going to overheat that fast. So all I'm going to be doing is, for now, all I want to do is make sure that I get this just set up and running and then decide how I'm going to do everything. So the idea here then becomes very simple. I'm just going to grab this drive. I'm going to put it on the first one and then go from there. Now, I am planning when they do come back into stock to buy the 4 terabyte, or I will buy another one of these in a 2 terabyte form. So this is going to go here, and we are looking at the second one there. So let's just measure this out again. Third one. What am I talking about? So this little piece will now come in here, and we just plug and play. Like, this is building a computer is not hard. It's just making sure you're doing everything in a step-by-step approach that makes sense, and you don't lose stuff, and you're not scared of it, and you don't drop stuff like I almost did. So you get the hard drive in here. We are in, and now I'm just gonna screw this in. Are we good with this? Will this fit? Are we good? No, we're not big enough. So let's just set it in here. We're gonna go with something smaller. Let's try this one. There we go. So let's just get that in. So that will be secure, and our hard drive is secure. So now my setup, this Rocket 4 Plus will go 5,000 write and then 7,000 read. Now, when I'm looking at this and I'm asking myself, well, what do I really want to do with my setup? And everybody's going to ask themselves this question. Now, you're going to be able to purchase a regular one that comes, the first generation, I guess, of this, not the non-plus one, goes 5,000 read and then 4,800 or something, right? I went with this because it was 7,000 read, and I thought, hey, why not? Now, hear me out and my thought process. Everybody's workflow is different, so you're going to see different setups with this. I just want to get another 1, 2, or 4 terabyte. I connect everything with Google and then Synology. So I'm consistently working off of Synology or Google, and I'm moving stuff around, and I'm downloading and loading stuff so I can work from wherever. It is one of the things that I need, and it's another thing where I work with a lot of people. So I consistently have to be able to be mobile and be able to give other people the opportunity to get things done for their requirements on their side. So then we connect them with Google, they download everything, and off they go. It's a lot more easier. Now, when you have a setup like that, yes, the bandwidth, yes, this, that, but I mean, when you just throw it on the Synology and it goes, it goes. So what we have here is a complete option of what we want to do with this drive and or this drive. Depending on where the card goes, I do want to put this heatsink on there. So I'm going to try that out before I come back to testing this out, and there's a couple other heat sinks as well that I'm going to be trying if this doesn't get the results I want. Now, on another note, what we want to do is make sure that we utilize the case to its full potential. I do have SSDs that are rather fast, and with the software, the Samsung Magician software, they can go rather quickly with the boost that they have on them. I will be trying different SSDs on that note, and on top of that, I might even do a RAID on one of them because this board does support that, and I might do a RAID on 2 of them so I can have a super fast drive and then maybe save some money temporarily until, you know, another drive comes into play for here. That being said, we need to remember that we are looking at it for a workflow. So make sure whatever you do, whenever you see people and what they're doing, you start to adjust to that workflow before you make a decision. Because this drive was like, you know, $280, almost 300 bucks, and I've never used one of these. I went with the I'm always a Samsung, but I saw this on sale, so I was like, why not? And you know, I'm sitting there going, they had a slower drive for 400 on Black Friday, and I went to buy, and I was too late, and I really regret it, because that 4 terabyte would have taken care of everything for me. I don't need anything more than that. Now 2 terabytes could be beneficial too, so I might just, you know, if this Plus goes on sale, then I got the same speeds. When you're looking at speeds, remember the board you're going to get, this, if you don't get an X570 that has the capability to have PCI 4 on both sides, on both inputs or sockets, you will not be able to use 4.0, so that speed that's registered won't work on both. This is why I got this motherboard. It does allow that, and it does allow that for the PCI cards. So in theory, as time goes on, this will be a better option. Now, the added bonus with this case is that it does come with these 3, well, let's pull this in. So it does come with these 3 bays. Now we can move these bays over. The idea here would be that the power supply comes in here. Now, when we set the power supply in here, we want to be able to utilize these if we want, or we can move them. Now, these are the big drives that you can put in here, and you will find your accessories right here. So you see these come out, and we can totally move this out. We don't need it. I'm gonna leave it in for now, and if we decide to move it, we move it. And we'll have to pull it in through the back. And I mean, it's just a hassle right now, and I don't want to really deal with it. Now, you do get all these accessories in here. So if you need anything you need will be in here, including the screws for the motherboard. So we're going to just set these aside for a bit while we look at, hey, what are we going to do with this left? And realistically speaking, we could strip it down more, but we don't need to. Now, just to note, this plate here can actually be removed depending on the size and what you're trying to achieve with your motherboard. So if you have a regular motherboard or a bigger motherboard, you would want to move this, but it does have the little, I don't even know what to call them, the screw sets that you're going to screw into the motherboard. So you can actually do it standing up. I've seen people do that. My opinion is that I'm going to lie it down now to put the motherboard in, because I'm still going to have to put the cooler in and then drop the cooler on it. So, and I don't want to do it this way. I'm just not, you know, in that mind frame of confidence that others are when they do that. So we see all the screws, and yeah, let's get going on this. So many screws. Wow. Oh no. All right, so this is insane. Why would they do this way? What's wrong with people? It's hilarious because they could have done this, and like they're wasting no time to do, let's grab a whole bunch each one. So I mean, unless a machine's doing this, it was bloody ridiculous. All right, so this is the motherboard that is gonna go inside. We can see here that it already has these fittings. So this is going to come in with an ATX case. Now you can put a micro ATX in here, you can put the regular ITX, and basically it gives you the instructions with AUI on which board you have. The idea here is that we're going to pass this through and be able to drop it in. At the same time, we're going to be installing the plate. I have to make sure that the plate gets installed properly, or else we will have to reconvene here. Oh, there you go. There you go. Gently. In. And we're going to drop this in to the middle. That doesn't seem to want to go through. And there you have it. The motherboard is officially in. Now that we have everything in here and it's good to go, the next step will be to put the radiator in and then pass it through before we lock it in to see how this fits. Because our problem is that it's 360 and I don't want it to be on top. So we've already adjusted for it. So what we're now going to do is we're going to look at it and we're going to say, how do we place it in here so it's best case scenario? Now, if I'm going to do this in a practical sense the best way, I would want to have two people here. But I'm going to pass this through, and then this will fit into the lower one, I believe, will be the best case scenario for us. And it's not gonna. There you go. So this does come out. All right, so that's in now. And there's two options. I saw somebody bring this out here. And what they did was, instead of having these come out, this has to place in here. And now this has to place in here. So if I'm going to bring this up to here, the other option would be to try this out while I can and remove the case underneath and pass the cables up through here, which will give me more room instead of coming up this way. Now, I won't know until I try it, so we're going to try it right now. They remove these so I don't break them. There's a cool tray. You can actually, I think you can just use it on the outside too if I wanted to. That's pretty cool. Now, once again, we are installing the awesome 360 Ti. We picked it up. Thank God it came in. And we did do some tests with it. So we already know it is an amazing card for the situation at hand where we can't actually purchase, you know, anything faster. But it'll do the job. So if you're looking for the opportunity to get a good card, this is it. Now I'm going to put it first on the top one so we can slide it in. There we go. And before I screw anything in, I want to see, will this fit? And it will fit this way. Just barely. It's struggling. It won't fit. Now, the other opportunity we have is to remove this. All right, so if I put it in the bottom one here, now we got clearance, but not enough clearance. So once again, we're kind of stuck. So we put it in the bottom one now. Once again, we don't have enough clearance to do it this way. So this idea was a little bit flawed. I'm not sure how that person managed to do it. Very interesting to me, but it just doesn't give us enough room for that. So our first thought process of how we're going to install this. Now, I'm going to do this again to see where I want to install the card first, but I want to try it on the front one, I guess, or on the top one, because I want to actually have it come up. And so I've seen people come up like from this side and around. I don't know how they do it with all the cables and everything, but this is literally going to come in like this. And then that way we're able to get away from the RAM being covered. All right, so right now what we're going to do is add this lovely thermal paste provided by Arctic Cool. Now, I should have bought some. That's the reality here. I should have bought some, and you know, I'm sitting there going, ooh. This is the most nerve-wracking part, is once you put this thermal paste in. You're gonna have to clean it, and I didn't buy any more. So the reality is that, you know, you'll have to come back and redo and then clean. So you gotta pull this off first, this plastic, and so we're gonna take this off. That is off. This is so nerve-wracking. I got my 1, 2, 3. So we are flat on 1, 2, 3. Woo! Did it. We did it. I think we're good. Imagine you put this the wrong way. Oh, that would be horrible. All right, so all we need to do now is put the video card in and then start cabling up. Cable management. It's a great card. I mean, it's not the best of the best, but it's the best that I could afford to spend right now with the wait times. I'm not going to go spend more money to get something like a 380 or 390 at more cost for, you know, what's available. The pricing is crazy out there and people are just insane. So in my mind, I'm looking at it, I'm saying, what is it that you really want and need in your system to get the job done? Now this will do, I did test it out when I did have the external, and basically I can't wait to see what it's in here because I know it wasn't going for potential, but I could do 6K editing on this, no problem. And, you know, I'm assuming I could have done 8K editing too. Now, the issue here becomes where do we fit it in and how do we fit it in? But because we bought the board and the board has PCIe 4.0 on both PCIe slots, I am actually quite happy there because now what's going to happen is it doesn't cover the RAM and it doesn't cover the gigabyte down here. It's going to look nice. I'm going to test it out, of course. I was told that I shouldn't have an issue. And if I did have an issue, it'd be probably on the BIOS updates. So the idea here becomes giddy up. That's what it becomes. Okay, it should be good to go. I'm not too worried about it. I am excited about it. So let's finish off by putting these in here. I won't close off the back until I run it to make sure that the PCI 4 is running there. And make sure that everything is efficient. I'm not worried about it cracking the motherboard. I know the other one is enforced, but basically now we have this nice fitting and it sits nicely. I don't have to worry about anything. I'm gonna put this a little bit more tighting here just in case. I'm seeing it on the back. Everything is nice and tight. Holy cow. I do have, just so you're interested to know, this is the 850 that I'm going to be installing from Corsair, the 850X model. Now, I thought it was an RX, but never mind. Maybe I misunderstood, but we're good to go. And after several hours of working on this to make it look nice and neat, I present to you the almost finished product. So what we can see here is I've gone ahead and worked to make sure that I can do as much as I can, bringing everything into a nice detail. I can see why they want some wiring here, and to make sure that when you're doing the wires, it just looks more neat. I do have one of these cables up here that I gotta hide better. The fans are in nicely. Everything is tight. I put the graphics card in the bottom PCI slot. The question then becomes, is this okay here? It is and it isn't. So when this is going to be running, and I got to do more tests on it, but this is still a PCI 4.0, but it's instead of 16, it's a 4, which just tells us that it's going to be it's still going to be running, but it's not going to have enough quickness as the 16 logically. Will that be enough for the editing and all this and that? I think it is, so I can do my testing at least before moving it back up, because every time I'm going to be doing anything with the RAM, which I already I booted it up and everything, and I realized like two of my RAM kits, from the RAM kits, I have 4 sticks. 2 of them had issues, and then from that package, the one was totally, just done. Like, it was just errors like there's no tomorrow, which always test your memory, no matter what. Get the mem test it out, see if there's any errors, no matter what. And if you haven't done it yet, go test it now, because you'll never know when it's going to hit. And it'll probably hit that moment you were like on the edit and you're like ready to go, and then it hits, and then you didn't save, and then you got another 5 hours of work to do, but your computer won't start anyways. So when we're looking at this, I want to just point out the idea with any kind of case like this. I do have an issue. I got to go back. The plate in the back. Let me just bring this out here. The plate in the back needs to be tightened properly again. So I got to pull the motherboard out again. Just because I put it in, it was fine. And then all of a sudden I pulled one of the USBs, and it just popped out. So clearly I didn't put it in secure enough. So I got to go back and do that. And I had to remove the bottom of this track. The idea here was that I was going to keep it in. However, while I was working, this is the bay, and with the bay you can actually add your hard drives in here, and it's just kind of like, it's awesome in that way. But and you can actually make a RAID. However, the actual power supply didn't fit, not because it's not going to fit for everybody, but because here at the bottom I needed this room. I had to remove this top panel to pass the radiator through and pass these the coolers, I don't know, cables through. So my English, great stuff, Nico, great stuff. So when you see this down here, it needs this extra space, and I had to pass it up. Now I'm going to be moving the graphics card up, which is going to push these over, and this is why I wanted to leave it here. But I mean, if I'm not going at the pace I have to be, then it's not gonna happen. So I mean, it is what it is. It's still push it, but I did put it at the top. I know it will fit. I'm fine. I'm good. So altogether, this looks great. Once again, if you are building anything, take your time with it. Make sure that if you're putting up your radiator, the orientation will be at the top or on the side, and you'll have your cables coming up that way. And I'm going to put this back on and just flip this really quick. If this goes on, because I'm on camera, it's not going to go as fast as we want. Just why not? Now, on the back of this is a great part of this. Now, when I flip this over, what's going to happen is you'll see the panels. And I mean, look for this for any kind of case. If you can find a case like this, it's always great, because, I didn't have to go all out on cleaning everything up. I did clean quite a bit, but these panels just go back on top. And I mean, I've been playing around with a couple more cables since I started doing some testing with this, and honestly, like, it's golden. It really is. It's golden. So I want you guys to think about that while you're doing anything, because the idea here would be that when you're working on anything, this will make it as clean as possible, and you're able to add now, like if I add more drives here, and this is cleaned up nicely on the back, I can just plug and play, and off I go. One last thing about this, about this case, and I'm kind of disappointed in, is I turned it on, and the sound of the fans are just depressing as hell. They make a tick, 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 tick sound. So I'm not sure how, unless I have a bad unit, I don't know how Nexus Gaming and all these other guys are like, oh my God, great, quiet. So I just gotta flip it back this way. So let's open this up. And of course, we wanna just take this off and see our fingerprints everywhere. But, let's bring the awesome peel that everybody does. there you have it. The peel is done. And of course, we're gonna plug it in and see how it looks. There you go. And it is on. Whew. Let's spin it this way and get a good look from the 4K side. I'm gonna just open. And there you go.